Disclaimer. Please check your playback settings. Ensure you are listening to this podcast at normal speed. Unless you want us to sound drunk. Then play at half speed. Thank you.
Carpenter research base, guys. Can you smell the science?
All I smell is ice and pain. Antarctica is made of pain.
Ooh, a penguin.
They're fucking.
Gross.
Enough of that. Mystery time. Permafrost that Dan found in the last episode, it led us here. Now, we need to investigate and interrogate. Hopefully we can find the missing item, or at least another clue to lead us to it. Hopefully, we can find out who did it. But I'm just going to warn you, this is going to be an all-nighter. Now, the first question. Who is the only 3 guys in Antarctica?
Are we doing the quiz section already? Is this between 1 to 10 stars?
Wait, what'd I miss? Read it back to me.
No, nobody's here. That's what I'm getting at.
They're dead.
They're not dead. They're probably just planning a surprise for us. Look, let's just split up and see where they're hiding.
Great idea, Tom. Let's split up. What movie has that ever not ended in disaster?
Happy Feet.
Oh yeah, you got me there. So we're not splitting up. Wait, where's Tom?
He's right over... Oh, for fuck's sake. He didn't even take his bags. He left them wide open.
Why would he open his... Did he pack swimming trunks? The fuck do you think we're going to a Holiday Inn or some shit?
Hey guys! There's a hot tub at this Holiday Inn!
We didn't pack our swim trunks.
God damn it.
Several hours later.
It feels good. So, I did manage to go through the entire base. Well, most of it. But I didn't find anything. It was like, I don't know. I was standing in the end zone. I was wide open. Not a soul in sight. Perfect spiral. And I dropped it.
No, Josh, it's... Wait, no, it... Wait! You used that sports analogy correctly. I didn't find anything either. Just this note saying that Johnson hadn't heard from the Norwegian team in a few weeks, so he was going to go check on them. That was 3 weeks ago.
Interesting. What about you, Tom?
You know what, I tell you, I was out there looking up and down, and all I found were these soil samples and footage of what looks like a UFO buried in the ice. I mean, for fuck's sake.
Wait, that's something Dan would say. Tom would never steal Dan's catchphrase. And Dan, why didn't you say anything about him stealing your catchphrase?
Oh.
Oh my god, they are still going at it. It's odd, too, because it's completely out of season for them.
Wait, Josh isn't making an inappropriate and unsolicited sex joke. Oh my god.
Gentlemen, I think one of us is not who they seem to be. Those penguins are screwing again.
Man, they are really going at it.
Yeah, let's watch a movie, guys.
Gentlemen, we are on an adventure. First, we're going to flood the city with blue, with Chadwick Boseman and 21 Bridges. Then it's going to get chilly with Keith David and The Thing. But then after that, we buddy up with Kurt Russell.
Welcome to America!
And Tango and Cash. Here's where it gets different. We take Sylvester Stallone and Nighthawks, and then we try to figure out who's who.
So please pay attention.
With Rutger Hauer and Blade Runner. And then put on your hats as we take Harrison Ford to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Hike up those boots and crack those whips, because the fire pit is swinging into adventure!
Follow Dan, Tom, and Josh as they race the skies and follow the dotted lines to the X that marks the spot of this journey. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's danger! It's deception!
But hopefully there won't be any snakes.
Every Tuesday, here at the Fire Pit.
Gentlemen, I hope we live to tell the tale.
Good evening, bots and listeners, and welcome back to another episode of the Fire Pit. I'm Tom, British name Nigel, and we've got a creepy, scary episode in store for you tonight. After confronting cop killers in New York and uncovering a conspiracy, we're off to the frozen continent of Antarctica for tonight's film. And as per our rules, we've taken an actor or an actress from our last film and moved them to this one. Now, to tell us what we're watching and who we're watching, I send things over to Josh.
Thank you, Tom. Josh here, British name Thompson. And last week, we watched Chadwick Boseman himself go from baseball to the Big Apple in 21 bridges, or 17 bridges and 4 tunnels. But 21 bridges does sound better, as we've noted. Also, in that film was the arbiter and the voice of the Navy himself, one Keith David, whom we'll be following to tonight's 1982's The Thing by John Carpenter. Classic, iconic horror film from the legendary director. But it wasn't always that way. So to give us a bit of a rundown, history, and trivia on the film, I'm going to turn the mic over to Dan.
Thank you, Josh. My hope is that one day our podcast has the same retroactive recognition this movie has. Hello, folks. Dan, British name Reginald here, and as mentioned, tonight we are watching 1982's The Thing, directed by John Carpenter and starring Kurt Russell, Keith David, Wilford Brimley, T.K. Carter, and a host of others. It had a release date of June 25th, 1982, a running time of 109 minutes, so just a little north of an hour and a half, and had a budget of $15 million and a box office of $19.6 million, so yeah, it was disappointing. It has a Rotten Tomato score, though, of 85%, with an audience score of 92, and an IMDb of 8.5 out of 10.
That's pretty high, especially for films we're watching.
Mm-hmm.
I know, a lot of times when you see those RT scores between the audience and the critics, there's usually a big difference, but 85 to 92, that's
pretty good. But I don't want to step too much on your guys' toes, but it's kind of hard to talk about the trivia and the history of this film without at first mentioning it was a box office disappointment. John Carpenter has stated, though, that out of all of his films, this is his personal favorite. But this movie nearly killed his love for directing. He put his heart, his soul, his blood, his sweat, his tears into making the best horror film he could, and it was a huge flop. Both commercially and financially, and the critics hated it at the time, too. He wouldn't actually be vindicated on this film until years later. That also leads into another bit of trivia, that this movie is actually a remake. It's a remake from the film The Thing from Another World that was made in 1951, which is itself an adaptation of the short story Who Goes There? Carpenter was particularly upset when Christian Nyby, the director of the original Thing from Another World, publicly denounced the film. Carpenter's version, saying, if you want blood, go to the slaughterhouse. All in all, it's a terrific commercial for J&B Scotch. Carpenter was crushed. He was crushed.
Ouch.
Yeah, and it almost killed his desire and love to want to make movies for Hollywood, because he had already made, I don't want to go into the meta, but I think he had made Halloween and a couple of others before this, but this may have been his third or his fourth outing, and I think this was his first big budget film. Tom might have more about that, but it nearly killed his love of directing or making movies. But the movie is a perfect example of what time and word of mouth can do for a movie. This movie lit up VHS rentals and sales, and has since gone on to become one of, if not the best horror film of all time. It is routinely on lists of top 5, top 10, top 3 horror films you must see. This is always on those lists. Horror directors that have come and gone since then, guys like Eli Roth, have come on and said that this movie was an inspiration to them. This is the one they want to go to. They try to emulate it. Ironically, the movie opened up the same year as another movie on this list, Blade Runner, and both movies have similar fates. Box office disappointments, critics hated them, have since gone on to become known as 2 of the best films ever made.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting symmetry. Again, I don't mean to step on your guys' toes, and if I am, just shut me up. But here's something funny. The Thing is screened every year for those wintering over at the British research station Amundsen Scott South Pole. It's always screened 2 hours or an hour or two after the last plane leaves them in the long winter blackout. So it's usually screened around June 21st every year in Antarctica, when the researchers stay behind for the wintering over at this British research station. The next night they watch The Shining.
Oh, dude.
But yeah, it's
like watching Castaway when you're on a plane.
yeah, or the day before a mission for NASA, you watch Apollo 13 or something like that. It's like, or Alien, you watch Alien or something like. It's like, yeah, it's
Dr. Scott, are we sure this was a good idea?
yeah. So I thought that was awesome. That's amazing. Hell of a tradition. I am absolutely not taking part of it. I've got a few others. I'm just going to touch on a couple more, and then I don't want to ramble. But, I mean, there was a lot about this movie. Like, I searched a couple different websites. The trivia page on IMDb alone, you can scroll it like 5 or 6 times with your mouse scroll and not reach the bottom. There was a lot to this. But the movie's premise of a shape-shifting alien has gone on to inspire numerous other science fiction properties, including the video game series Dead Space, for all of our video game fans out there. In fact, and especially the third Dead Space game where he goes to a cold planet station or something like that. And in fact, the alien that could only be determined through blood tests was a plot device later used on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where the founders or changelings were introduced at the end of season 3 or the beginning of season 3 as the leaders of the Dominion.
Star Trek reference, take a drink.
I personally included that there. So whoever has that on their bingo card tonight can cover the space. The other one is Kurt Russell is the lead in this film. Back in 82, his biggest achievements were playing the lead in Escape from New York, which was not a financial success, nor the cult classic it later became. Being the voice of an animated dog in a really unsuccessful movie, and playing the lead in a TV series that was axed only after airing 11 of its 15 episodes due to terrible ratings. So he was actually a relative unknown. Carpenter really wanted a relative unknown to play the lead, but he was really reluctant to reuse the same actor as his leading man. Kind of like another movie on this list, Spielberg and Lucas, they loved him, but they really didn't want Harrison Ford to play Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark because he was Han Solo in the Star Wars movies. So they were hesitant to use the same leading man. And we'll talk about that when we get to Raiders. But I thought that was kind of interesting that this movie is kind of the start of Kurt Russell's leading man Hollywood career. And then next week, we'll watch the peak of his leading man Hollywood career. And then he stars next week alongside Sylvester Stallone, who, and when that movie Tango and Cash was also at the peak of his leading man career. And we'll go into another movie where Sylvester Stallone was at the beginning of his leading man career. I think we are in for an interesting 4 weeks, or 3 weeks, I should say.
I mean, watching Stallone and Russell peak at the same time.
Yeah. And then the last 2 bits of trivia I have, unused music composed for this film was later used by the same composer. Oh, God, I hope I say his name right. Ennio Morricone in Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. Ironically, The Thing score was nominated for a Razzie for worst score ever, while his score for Hateful Eight won him an Oscar.
Oh, wow.
And it was literally unused music from this film.
Which is funny because The Hateful Eight is nothing more than The Thing with cowboys. It's
Yeah.
a terrible movie.
Yeah. And the female voice on McCready's computer was performed by the then wife of John Carpenter, Adrienne Barbeau, who is the Queen of Mars from Olympus Mons to Tharsis. C-Lab 2021 joke for those out there. So
I have that one on my bingo card. Nice! C-Lab 2021.
So that's what I've got. Well, I added that joke too because C-Lab 2021 kind of has a Thing inspired episode as well. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so,
Watch the show.
it's hilarious. It was a peak Adult Swim. But that's what I've got so far. I've got other trivia bits. Something I'm going to mention when we start watching the movie. But I don't want to ramble on for too long, and I don't want to keep stepping on toes. So before I step on all the toes, Josh, can you tell us something about the box office for this film?
I can. You only stepped on a couple of my toes for that one.
Okay, I apologize. I really do.
It's all good. Well, you know how I always like to quiz you guys on the opening weekends, right, of these things. Obviously we know that The Thing premiered on the weekend of June 25th, 1982. It premiered at an amazing number 8 at the box office, and it pulled in $3.1 million that weekend. Do you guys care to take a stab at what was number 1 in the box office that particular weekend?
1982, June 25th.
Yep.
Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Wrong.
E.T.
Damn, 2 weeks in a row, Tom got it. It is E.T., the extraterrestrial. You know
I
what
knew-
is number 2? Premiering the same week? This is deja vu for people listening in later on this in this podcast.
Oh, was Raiders of the Lost Ark? No, Blade Runner. Blade Runner. I just mentioned that.
You
Damn
are
it.
0 for 2. 0 for 2. No, it was Blade Runner. See, E.T. pulled in $13.7 million, Blade Runner pulled in $6.1 million. And that was its opening weekend as well. So, like I said, it'll be deja vu because I'll be reading this one again in a few weeks. At number 3 was Firefox. And at number 4 is Rocky 3. And Dan, at number 5, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
So Star Trek 2 premiered the same weekend as all these?
No, it was on its 4th week of release.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
Although The Thing, Blade Runner, and a movie we have to get to on this podcast, because this is another head in the box, what's in the box situation. Not a head in the box. I just ruined the entire reveal. But it premiered at number 9, a movie called Megaforce.
Oh, man.
I was looking at just the IMDb of that movie, and I want to see it. The description is story about rapid deployment defense unit that is called into action whenever freedom is threatened.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's Team America meets G.I. Joe.
Dude, it looks like a bad 80s cartoon, but this is a movie. Like, the theme is deeds, not words. I want to watch this movie. Got a 3.7 on IMDb.
Oh, no, you were right, Josh. Head in the box. That's a head in the box.
It's definitely a head in the box.
Does it did that movie star anyone that we could use to get in and out of it?
Please say no.
Barry Bostwick.
Okay.
He looks familiar.
Yeah, he's been on TV all the time, but
isn't he the guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
No.
Okay.
Spy Hard, Rocky Horror Picture Show, FDR,
Oh,
American Badass.
Oh, yeah.
That's another movie I officially want to watch. FDR, American Badass. If we ever get into a B movie thing. But anywho, that was a particularly interesting week. It was another one of those weekends where it's just like, wow, every single movie on here is pretty interesting. Bambi was on its 4th week of its 1982 re-release. Grease 2 was on its 3rd week, and Conan the Barbarian was on its 7th week at number 15, pulling in $581,000. So Poltergeist, I didn't mention, was at number 7, and Annie was at number 6.
Annie was doing better numbers than Poltergeist?
And that's on its 6th week of release compared to Poltergeist's 4th.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The Thing did not run very long. It premiered in June 25th, and its last weekend... Okay, let me rephrase this. I do have to do the asterisk. This is early 80s. This is at the time when box office numbers were becoming more accurate. But it wouldn't be until 1983-ish when the numbers was pretty much incredibly reliable. So it may have ran longer, but Box Office Mojo collects all of their information. So it's may have ran a little longer in some theaters, but the numbers weren't reported.
Okay.
So, but Box Office Mojo has it going from June 25th to the weekend of July 16th. So not even a month. But what's fun about that month, The Thing was on its 4th week of release, and it was at number 15 in the box office. Guess what was at number 2 premiering that weekend on the box office?
So that would have been a July weekend.
July 16th.
1982, July. Not the Untouchables.
Nope.
I have. It's got to be. I give up. It's Born of the 4th of July.
Nope. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1982 re-release.
Okay, I'm pissed at myself. Damn it.
Number 2 in the. So at one point in the box office, Indiana Jones, Blade Runner, and The Thing were all in theaters.
3 movies on our list this year.
Yep.
This journey. Wow. I did not intend for that when I created this list.
Wow.
I thought that was a fun bit of trivia because still at the same time, Tron was on its 2nd week of release. Rocky 3 was still out. Firefox, I don't know what that movie is. Poltergeist, A Midsummer Night's Sex Comedy, Star Trek 2, and The Sword and the Sorcerer. I think that's an animated one.
Yeah, I remember The Sword and the Sorcerer. Well, I remember hearing about it, but
this is another one of those really epic weekends at the box office that we always talk about. Like, it's definitely not the greatest of them, but there's some heavy hitters in the box office at this weekend. This is one of those weekends you go to the movies and you take your $1.50 and you're like, I have no idea what I want to watch. I might have to spend $5 and watch 4 movies.
Yeah. Oh, and incidentally, Josh, I just took a peek at IMDb and Firefox. This might be another What's in the Box.
Is that the movie with Clint Eastwood with the experimental spy plane or something like that?
That can be controlled by Neuralink, so he's sent to the Soviet
Yes.
Union. Yes, yes, yes,
1982 was a special year.
We really
yes.
need to get to that film, though.
It's a 6.0 on IMDb.
Oh my
Better
god.
than Megaforce.
Oh, yeah. We need to figure out a way to get to Firefox, though.
Oh no. And it's got a connector. This one's got a connector to Indiana Jones through Ronald Lacey. Oh no.
Nice.
Oh no.
My next
Nice.
list to blank.
It's writing itself.
Oh
But
no.
that's all I've got for the box office. So, Thompson, please give us some sweet, sweet meta.
All right, gentlemen, you ask and you shall receive. Tonight we watch The Thing. Tagline: The ultimate in alien terror. Summary: members of an American scientific research post in Antarctica find themselves battling a parasitic alien organism capable of perfectly imitating its victims. They soon discover that this task will be harder than they thought, as they don't know which members of the team have already been assimilated, and their paranoia threatens to tear them apart. As Nigel already noted, this is based on the 1938 novella Who Goes There by John W. Campbell Jr. and influenced several other classic sci-fi films like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Alien, so on and so forth, and was adapted to film in 1951 called The Thing from Another World, following the 30-year rule. Every 30 years a film gets remade. This one sticks closer to the original story. There had been several attempts to make this going far as back as the 1970s, and it went through a lot of stuff to get here, but thankfully it did get here. And what a crew to have for this one. Behind the camera, as the producers, there were a few of them, but the big two were David Foster and Lawrence Turman. These two usually produce things together, mostly known for cop dramas and action horrors. Previous films they've done were The Graduate, The Drowning Pool, and The Great White Hope. But other films they've been known for, some films that we may or may not like, Gleaming the Cube, both short circuit films, The Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas, and Booty Call.
Okay, well, I guess you can't always get a base hit, so that's good.
Well, in their defense, Lawrence kind of broke off from the group and did that one. So maybe he should have had Foster there to kind of back him up. But as Nigel noted, behind the camera, we had John Carpenter, auteur director, guy who does a bit of everything by himself, including his own music. I know he did have some input on the score for The Thing, but he did leave that to Ennio, excuse me, who I'll get to in a second. Genres, of course, he's known for are drama and horror. Most recently, he's kind of not been doing so well. Vampires, Ghosts of Mars, but the 80s were like peak Carpenter with Big Trouble in Little China, They Live, and starting out even before this film, he was an up-and-comer. His big hits were, of course, Halloween, but he had Escape from New York, Assault on Precinct 13, and Dark Star on his resume. Incidentally, Assault on Precinct 13 and Dark Star are both mandatory viewings for film school. So you have a guy who is an auteur director, likes taking control of things, but still something to prove. And with him were Bill Lancaster as the writer, mostly known for comedies. In fact, he's only known for one thing: The Bad News Bears. This was his only other film outside of that. He did Bad News Bears Go to Japan, and then The Thing.
What a turnaround there. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, what you gonna do before this? Oh, Bad News Bears. Yeah, I'll trust you on a horror movie. Okay.
That's like looking at someone's resume. It's like garbage man, neurosurgeon. What?
Well, if he was going to school,
Yeah, maybe he was going to school. I don't know.
Well, I guess they were realizing that he was done terrorizing audiences, and they wanted to terrorize them in a different way.
Thankfully, they did note at least to have someone who knew how to make a score. Ennio Morricone, an Italian composer, a professional, has been doing this since 1962 and is still active. Mostly Italian dramas and spaghetti westerns. You would know his score from the Blood and Dollars trilogy, A Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And of
Ooh,
course,
good movies.
yes, and of course, some American films, The Untouchables, and as Nigel noted, The Hateful Eight. Carpenter did have a little advice for him. It's like, try to make it synthesizer, try to match a little more my style. So there was a lot of back and forth, but Ennio had this, and obviously he was ahead of his time, as Nigel noted, because he got a Razzie for this, or was nominated for a Razzie for this, but the same music got him an Oscar.
That's so. I read that and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That's like just changing your answers slightly and getting an A.
Seriously.
You think that he, like the guy who did that, like he was in there watching the Oscars as they won? He's like, vindication.
I was right all along, you American bastards.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I was in college, I took a class and I submitted a paper. And long story short, I had personal stuff happen, and I ended up failing that class.
Mhm.
And I got a D on that paper. And when I went back to school a year or so later, I had to take that same class over again, obviously, because I failed it. And I submitted that same damn paper and got a B.
Vindication.
So I understand how this director feels. Like,
I want to thank the Academy for giving me an award that I should have got 30 years ago.
yeah, exactly.
People in the 80s were still getting over the high that was the 70s.
It
Yeah.
was 1982, so it was in that weird transition period.
Yeah. Do we wear the masks? Do we not? I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, wait, sorry. Wrong transition period.
And normally I don't call out special effects people in my meta, but Rob Bottin deserves credit for this. He's a special effects, makeup effects guy. Been doing this since 1976. Started with King Kong as one of his first credited works. Started working with Carpenter since The Fog. He does a bit of everything. He's done a few podcast favorites on here. Inner Space and Explorers, but he's also done RoboCop, Total Recall, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Fight Club, and Star Wars. So,
Those are some of my favorite movies.
right? He didn't get any credit for Star Wars, which I think is a little a shame. He nearly died of exhaustion working on this film. They had him living on the studio to make all this stuff. Is any wonder he didn't die from stress? Some of the stuff on this film were so good, and it still holds the test of time, so special kudos to Rob. But that's enough from behind the camera. In front of the camera, we have an ensemble cast that is way too many people to mention. There's at least 12 people in the cast, so I'm going to try to focus on the big three, i.e. the ones people are most likely to still recognize: Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, and Keith David. Kurt Russell, as Nigel noted, is our big hero, MacReady.
Is this our first Kurt Russell movie?
I think it is. I don't think we've had a Russell yet.
Yeah, awesome, cool. Ding, ding, ding.
Although we're going to be making up for lost time with the next one for sure. This is, as Nigel noted, early Kurt Russell. He's done a bit of everything since then. And as noted, his varying quality in his work. But most of us would know him, of course, from Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, Sky High. He also does Santa Claus in a few movies now. Before this, some early Disney films like The Computer Who Wore Tennis Shoes and The Strongest Man in the World. And as Nigel noted, The Travels of Jamie McFeeters, which barely made it a season. He was actually, interestingly enough, involved in the pre-production of this film before Carter actually cast him. He helped Carpenter come up with some of the ideas, and wound up being the last actor to be cast because, as Dan said, didn't really want to have the same guy as a lead in two movies, which I think is petty, but everyone's got a thing. With him Also, early in his career, Wilford Brimley, who plays Dr. Blair. General unknown before this movie. Honest, he first got his start in Hollywood as a stuntman. And it was because of Robert Duvall that got him that, convinced him, hey, you should be a stuntman, my dude. Hollywood's where the money is. And they picked him for this because he had an everyman appeal to him. Roles we know him from would be The Natural, one we saw recently, Cocoon, The Ewoks, Battle for Endor, and of course the television advertisements for the Quaker Oats Company and Liberty Medical's diabetes commercials. But he plays a stern, serious character in almost everything, and it's going to be the same here. And finally, we have Keith David playing Childs. Our connector from the previous film, a theatrical actor, standing out from Wilford and Kurt Russell's performance style. Mostly dramas, but not above comedies, with varying degrees of quality. This is actually his first credited movie role. The role he did before this was the Pirates of Penzance TV movie. But since then, he has become the voice of badasses in Our Childhood and many others. He was Spawn. He was the voice of the Arbiter in Halo 2, and the voice of Mufasa in the House of Mouse TV series. Because if you can't get James Earl Jones, you get Keith David. Also, he played Keith the Carpenter in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in an episode or two. And of course, rounding out the cast, too many to mention. I'd love to, but I'm running long as it is. They've all been solid performance and character actors. You would know some of these guys, ranging from Back to the Future 3, Gone Girl, The Right Stuff, Money Train, Warriors. So look them up on IMDb, scroll through their pages. I hate having to skip them because they all play a very critical role. But if I did that, we'd be going on for another hour, and this is reaching way longer than I meant it to. So, summary of this film. This is a horror movie adapted from a story that practically inspired the Who Can You Trust genre, directed by a horror suspense auteur, funded by people who are known for backing hits, helmed by talented up-and-comers and or pros, with music by a veteran composer, and with special effects by a soon-to-be go-to guy for special effects, which, as Dan noted, was not at all appreciated during its time.
I love how when Tom goes, I've been going really long, and then he proceeds to go on for another 10 minutes.
It's his thing now. It's one of the.
Yeah.
It's, well, again, I had to shout out a few extra people.
He's the Shatner of this group. He acts like he's the most humble of us, but in honesty, he's the one that wants the camera on him at all times.
Yeah, that's definitely how it's playing out.
Well, insert editor revenge joke here.
He's not petty at all either.
Yeah, none at all.
But now that we know...
Goes on to have a 20-minute segment.
I mean, I could go on more. I still have more. I could, you know what? You're right, Josh. I didn't go into enough. So for the sporting cast, we have TK Carter.
Segue, Tom. Segue.
So now that we know everything that went on in front, behind, and surrounding this film, Nigel, what are your expectations going in? You have not seen this film, right?
Never. Although it's one of those movies where I've never seen it, but I could tell you the story beat for beat. I mean, 1982, it's kind of hard to avoid the spoilers for this film at this point. Mm-hmm. And I do briefly remember a video game based on the movie, I think on the Xbox or the PlayStation 2. But we've got friends that love this film. Like, our friends, Matt and Gino, swear by it. Like, it's one of their favorite films of all time. In fact, I think Matt has a signed copy of the DVD on it, so it's like, and this is one of those like go-to horror films. I mean, I have lots of friends that are horror fans, and this is always in their top movies. Like, this is like their one, like, oh, you have to, if you see any movie, you have to see The Thing. And I don't know why I've never gotten around to watching it. I don't know. I don't have a thing against horror films. I've watched so many of them.
Unintended.
And like I said, I've got nothing against horror films. I mean, I enjoy some horror films or some slasher films, which John Carpenter kind of invented that genre. Although I have to say, as you get older, you identify less with the horny teenagers at the camp and more with the guy in the hockey mask, just wants to be left alone. But my expectations for this film, pretty high. Pretty high. I mean, everyone talks about how this is the horror film to watch. This is one of those movies you have to watch before you die. It's in all the AMC top lists. It's in all the, top IMDb's top lists that I see all the time. Like, I have some pretty high expectations for this film. I'm expecting to be entertained tonight thoroughly. I really wanted, and this is when I figured out how to connect this film to Raiders so that we could get it on this list. That's why I campaigned for it. This was one of those films like I really want to watch this movie. So I got some pretty high expectations tonight. I'm not going to lie. What about you, Josh?
Well, I know I mentioned it during the selection section, so I'm just going to extrapolate that story a little bit. But like I remember in my junior year of high school, I think it was like 2000, 2001 time frame. He was a great teacher. I was just the dickhead student who did not take advantage of that when I had the opportunity. Like, if I could go back and redo this guy's class, I would not be such a douche. I'm sorry if you ever listen to this and are not dead. I cannot think of your name to save my life. But he was it was a weird transitionary period. Religion was involved and he was teaching evolution, so I was that kid.
Oh,
But
Josh.
yeah, I'm not proud of that part of my life. But no, he like honestly, I look back on his lessons and I look back on his class and I'm like, oh my god, adult Josh would have loved going to that class. High school Josh is a dick and an idiot. You know how you grow up and you're embarrassed by your younger self. That's me, full bore with this teacher. He had some really awesome lessons, and he showed this movie as an example. Like, it was one of those things, like, we're going to watch The Thing, and I want you to tell me if you think that this is I forget what it was, like a living form or something like that. So looking at this through an adult lens, I'm like, that's an awesome lesson for an awesome film. But I still have the memories I had when we were watching that. Like, I just didn't care, and I think I slept through it, and I found the film really dull and boring. And that's kind of left me that impression is still on me thinking about it. So that's why I wasn't super excited about seeing The Thing. But honestly, it's one of those things. I do want to watch it, but I've never gone out of my way to watch it. So I'm kind of glad we're watching it here. So I'm hoping that my memories are wrong and that I will really enjoy this film. Because like I said, High School Josh was odd. My expectations are, I don't want to say super high just because I have, if I don't like it, I'll be like, I guess I was right. But I would say they're about middle, But that's all I've really got for this movie. Tom, what about you? Have you seen it?
I have, and I want to say, if I had a time machine, I would beat the shit out of High School Josh. Oh my god. We would not have been friends in high school. Oh, man. Although it's cool that you got to see it in high school, it took me forever to get around to seeing this film. It was one of those things that I was that guy. Like, everyone talk about this film, and I'd be like, I've never seen it. And they were, you haven't seen The Thing? And so many friends have tried to rectify that and cure me of that. I would either not be able to, or something would come up, or I would fall asleep. Thankfully, I did get my chance to see it about maybe 2 years ago. Mike McGranger, who produced the revival of the Night Owl Theater here in Columbus, also hosted a Terror from the 80s midnight double feature where he would show various 80 horror films. In this night in question, that I did finally get to see The Thing was in theaters, and it was paired with The Evil Dead. And I got to see this film in theater, restored with 80s grain. So it wasn't like fresh, like Blu-ray quality. He restored it so it had that 80s look and feel to it. And I was so glad for that. It was an amazing movie, and I'm glad I got to wait until I was a proper adult, because I think High School Tom would have also been equally either bored with the film or just crossing myself, because I was still very up my own ass with my religion. Up until late high school, I got better as I got older. So I know what I'm getting into. Incidentally, to prepare for this film, because so many things I read about this film, people were just talking about The Thing from Another World, the original one. I just got done watching the original The Thing from Another World, the 1951 version. So for me going into this, not only is it just a joy and a thrill to have Dan finally watch the movie and you watch it with adult eyes, but I'm also going to be coming at it with a more like, okay, why do the people that hate this film always say it's not nearly as good as The Thing from Another World? I want to, get the experience of that.
I've never heard anyone say that.
Me either,
Well-
until you said it just now.
Well, gentlemen, I was able to find a few of those people that had some thoughts about this movie and opinions that it was not as good as the original. Would you care to guess what some of them thought about the movie? Would you care to be quizzed on them? Too bad, I'm doing it anyways.
I was wondering if you were going to say anything, Dan. I'm like, I'm not saying anything.
I was like, I'm not going to say anything until he says something.
My friends are assholes. So since I won the quiz last weekend, I get to do the quiz this weekend. So standard rules apply. I have scoured IMDb for the choicest of reviews, 1 to 10 star. I will be giving you 5 reviews. You have to each guess what they said about this film, 1 to 10 stars. Person who gets closest without going over within 2 wins the point. If you get on the money, you get 2 points. Person with the most points by the end wins and gets to do the quiz next weekend. So, are you ready to rock?
Let's do it to it.
All right. And since I'm feeling completely in character and have not at all been replaced by a thing from another world, I will let Josh go first.
That is so in character, Tom.
Yes, it is. So this review comes from Pete C, who said, "The Thing may have been state of the art in 1982, but it just looks cheap in the 21st century where we are used to awesome CGI effects. Don't bother with this unbelievable farce."
I'm feeling this is going to be like a 10-star review.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 4.
Okay. I'm also feeling this one's a little deceptive because they did kind of make a prequel to this film, and one of the biggest criticisms of it was the overuse of CGI versus the practical effects of this one. I'm going to say this is a 7-star review.
Josh is closest. This was a 2-star review.
This guy's an asshole.
Right? I was saying he has much worse to say about this. And I think this might have been posted by past Josh or something like that. I don't know.
Could be.
So Josh has the first point. Nigel, next question goes to you. This one comes from C. Nedra Greenleaf, who says, "I thought it would tell about a spirit, a ghost, or something like that. But no, it was about a space creature. And God, I hate space creature movies, except E.T. Choice reviews, team.
Yes.
Read it again.
I thought it would tell about a spirit, a ghost, or something like that. But no, it was about a space creature, and God, I hate space creature movies, except E.T.
And they think Mac and Me is a superior film.
Oh God, nobody thinks that. Even the people who made Mac and Me. This is I'm gonna say a 4.
Josh?
Part of me wants to think Dan is on the money. The other part of me wants to say that they're not actually saying they hate this film. They just say they hate a type of film. So I'm wondering if they're going to enjoy the film and give it a higher review. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice and say this is an 8 out of 10.
Wow, Josh, you were way off. This was another 2-star review.
No.
Dan gets the point.
And we're all tied up. What's
Yes.
funny is, Dan, we both got the point with a 4-star guess.
Yeah.
All right, so Josh, you have this one. This one comes from CC the Movie Man 1, who says, Only in the world of film do you see sleazy people like this in high-tech intelligent positions such as astronauts or scientists.
Oh my god, what?
Only in the world of film do you see sleazy people like this in high-tech intelligent positions such as astronauts or scientists.
I'm gonna go for broke and say 4.
Nigel?
I'm gonna say 2.
Joshua's closest. This is a 7-star review.
Oh, Jesus. I'm so bad at this game now. I am so bad at this game now.
Well, Dan, I think the rule of this one is just pick 4 and you probably win.
Okay, so Dan, you've got this next one. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Wait, no, there it is. Yep. Okay, so Nigel.
That's a weird review.
Shush. So this one comes from T Kubus 1, who says, I'm telling you, if you have Netflix and don't mind some extreme gore, watch this movie as soon as you can. I'd give this movie a 9 out of 10.
I hate these, but I love them.
I hate these fucking ones. Alright, you know what? To hell with it. I'm sucking at this game anymore anyways. I'm never gonna win again. I'm gonna say 9 out of 10.
Josh?
Do I go high or do I go low? Go high or do I go low? I'm gonna say a 10.
Nigel's closest. This is an 8-star.
Ah, I should have gone low.
We are tied up. Okay.
We are on the 5th question.
And this one, I believe, Josh, you have this. So,
Yep, this is mine.
So the last question. This one comes from Quiet Fox, whose title is No Cheap Jump Scares, No Ugly CGI, No Dumb Ghost.
10.
Nigel?
9.
On the dollar, Nigel. This was a 9-star review, and I feel like it was a response to Pete C and those other assholes.
Yeah, because I know they made a prequel a couple of years ago, and like it bombed in the theaters, and most of it, the criticisms were over reliance on CGI, whereas this movie is like the practical effects fans' mecca. Like this is like, if you love practical effects, this is the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, continue.
No, that's all of them.
Dan,
You win.
That's it. You won.
Oh shit! Oh. I'm so used to not winning. I thought we still had more humiliation to go. Woohoo!
I mean,
it's been so long since
because we were tied up at 4, so it was 2-2. Now it's 4-2. So you won.
Yeah,
Congrats.
you broke the drought. It is raining in Antarctica.
it's been so long since I won. I forgot what it's like.
How does it feel, Nigel?
Different.
Say I'm going to go Disney World. Say I'm going to go to Disney World.
I can't afford that.
Do you want to know the bonus question in case you got it wrong?
Sure.
Sure.
All right, so I think this would have gone to you, Nigel. So this question comes from DM Greer, who says, the overall theme of paranoia and mistrust keeps it interesting enough to be viewed about once every 10 years. I give it 4 out of 10.
4.
Josh?
3.
Nigel would have gotten on the money. It was a 4 out of 10. I figured if you guys tied it, I was going to be an asshole and give you the one where there was actually the score.
Nice. See, Nigel, you would have won even with the tiebreaker.
Nice. Well, I win. I win. I win. I win. I do not lose. I win.
So what are you going to do now that you've won, Nigel? I mean, what?
Tom, play the music.
Thank you. Welcome back to another bone-chilling episode of The Fire Pit. I am, as always, your interspersal host, editor, and Arctic tech support resource, Tom. And for the last time, Windows is not compatible with Sour Mash Whiskey. They haven't supported those drivers since 2013. Stop trying. Dear God. But thank you for pouring one out with us here at the fire pit. It's frozen tundras and extraterrestrial turncoats as the fire pit swings into adventure. Sussing out the suspects is enough to make any man drink, but it's all in a day's work for our team as they science their way to Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. But speaking of science, let's see if the team sorted out that whole imposter situation from the cold open.
Okay, no, I'm going to tell you why it's so goddamn empty in here. Norwegian starts with N. N starts with Nazis. Hitler sent the Nazis to Antarctica in 1944 because they found a UFO here.
All right,
and I don't know when they found
it. But let me give you your arm. Just give me your arm, and I'm just gonna go ahead and a little bit. I just need to test your blood. Just a little itty bitty.
No!
Give me your arm. I need to test your blood.
I am a diabetic. I test my blood like every couple of hours.
Just need a small sample, just a little cut. I promise I won't go as deep as I did with Tom. That was totally an accident.
Gross.
Gentlemen, let's just step back a bit.
Get away from me. I'm telling you, that UFO is out there and it's overrun with KGB.
Just a small little prick. I just need a little bit of blood.
Guys. Okay, Josh, you're being unreasonable. Put that thing down. You're being crazy. We all know what's going on here, and we all know there can be only one true test, and that is the pure cleansing power of fire. So just line up, and we'll figure out who is who here.
No, that's not how any of this works. You got to test the blood.
No.
It's in the blood.
No, I'm telling you, it's overrun with the FBI. The CIA found the UFO again in the 60s, and then they were the ones
see, they know how to pretend to be in the blood too. This is known. This is what the CIA and the KGB have been trying to cover up.
Which is why you've got to test the blood.
Yes, we are going to test the blood by burning the whole body. Now, again, just if you could line up, preferably in alphabetical order, starting with J, then we can figure this out.
It's not how the alphabet works, but no, the bodies are fine. The bodies are fine. So you got to test the blood. You get the blood out of the body with the knife. You put it into the petri dish and you burn it. Let's burn the blood. Tom, I'm going to pour the blood that I took from you earlier. So here it is. Burn it. Burn that. That's the test. We'll burn the blood.
All right, we'll try this. Then we'll get back to my thing.
Finally, you're saying something reasonable.
5 seconds later.
Well, now the shed's on fire.
Man, oh my God, that really stinks. Like blood, gasoline.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be a good idea to paint the shed in gasoline. Keep us warm.
Ah, well, that'll do it. Okay, anyways, back to the lizard people that are hiding just over that mountain ridge. So
what the hell are you guys doing?
Ah!
Who are you?
I'm Keith Johnson. I'm the lead researcher here at the Carpenter Research Base. Why is my research shed on fire?
How can we be sure you are who you say you are?
We cut him. We cut him in the arm.
Excuse me?
Fire.
Okay, serious. Stop. Back up. Seriously. Don't cut me. Just come back with me to the winter station. I don't know why your guys are here. We don't use this section during the nocturnal season.
Are the penguins less racist over there?
You know what? They can be whatever you want it to be. Just come with me, please. Hey, are you the 3 podcast guys who were supposed to arrive like a month ago?
What are you talking about? We've only been here a day.
Yeah, we're pulling an all-nighter. We're investigating things.
Plus, the sun hasn't even come out yet. It can't be day while it's still night.
Guys, how do I put this? During this time of year, nights are like 6 months long.
What?
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, I understand. Nice try. Everyone knows calendars aren't real. Josh, get his blood.
Knife.
Whew. Is it getting hot in here, or is it just them? Woo! See what I did there? Yeah, you did. But if you want to send us some warm words of your own, or if you want to warm our wallets with some advertisements, or If you just want to keep your keyboards warm with some typing, then feel free to email us at curtaincallentertainmentinc@gmail.com. That's curtaincallentertainmentinc@gmail.com. Just be sure to put Firepit in the subject line, as well as what you're emailing about, whether it's to commission an ad, communicate a movie idea, construct a journey list, or just have a private conversation, and shoot us a line. From there, we'll read it, test it for infection, destroy it with fire just to be on the safe side, and never respond. Did you want to take the chance? Yeah, I didn't think so. But that email again is curtaincallentertainmentinc@gmail.com, capital C, capital C, capital E, capital I, @gmail.com. Antarctic Station IT. Oh, yeah, no, it sounds like your computer's been replaced by a changeling this time. Yep, let me just get my flamethrower, I'll be right over. This is why we're supposed to have firewalls. People. Ugh. I have to go troubleshoot something with fire now, so I'll let you get back to the episode. Thank you all for listening, and as always, good luck. Every Tuesday, I swear to God. And now to check on the team to see how they're enjoying their movie.
The fact that it's steaming and it's like negative 40 below. I guess I should say 40 below. It's not negative 40 below, because then that would mean it would be positive 40 below, right? Double negatives and all that.
Stop.
So Frank, I'm a little lost. Can you help me get to the base? Yeah, sure. We'll use some landmarks. What's surrounding you?
Snow.
What else surrounding you, Frank?
Mountains.
Yeah, I'll call you back.
Does that say Loki?
Marvel Cinematic Universe, confirmed.
Lead the target, Frank.
Is he shooting a dog?
Yeah.
I hate this movie already.
Okay, Frank, I think you're getting a little carried away now. It pissed on your rug. It can be replaced.
This dog dies by fire.
We've already spent thousands of dollars and hundreds of man hours trying to kill this damn thing. Can we go home now?
It was a sentimental couch.
It really brought the room together.
Jesus, Frank.
Dude, from like 1 to 10.
Like, I knew it. The Norwegians are invading. I knew this day would come.
Luckily, I prepared for this.
What are they doing flying that low? Shooting at a dog. At us.
They're Norwegians. Their customs are weird.
It's up to you, Mac. You don't want to fly, we don't fly.
Okay, we're not flying.
Okay, the fact that they were chasing the dog, shooting it in guns, and we find this, a dude killed himself, and the base was burned down. No red flags, guys. We're good. I'm gonna go take a shower.
That guy looks like Hyde from that 70s show. Only less rape.
Well, what we got here is what appears to be
Diabetes.
Oh, this is good. I'm so glad I ate before I watched this.
What are you talking about? That's just Jello.
Organ jello.
That's
a good sign.
Yeah, good sign to turn around and walk back the other way. Funny joke here, but there's a character in this movie nicknamed Windows, and another character nicknamed Mac.
Oh my God.
That is awesome.
That took me way too long to catch. Bob, get back in here, Bob! Bob! We have a situation!
The new guy, he's he's freaking me out.
Hey, throw those Norwegian dogs! Get us out! It's having me time! Oh God!
Wait. He's already escalated to flamethrower?
This is the most intelligent horror film I've ever seen.
So, how much fuel does that helicopter have? Seriously, how much fuel does it have? Oh, God.
It's getting into the raft.
Oh, God.
Where is that flamethrower?
Please. Now. Why did you stop? You know, we've been watching this movie for how long now? I haven't seen any science.
Well, you know, Russell Crowe, outsmarting the computer, that counts as science, right?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. Who did I say?
Russell Crowe. No, good God.
Dan has a new catchphrase.
Well, there goes my Nobel Prize.
But finally, my chance to burn some corpses.
No, Doc. He's doing a real fine job.
I don't know, but I say we vote to listen to the black man with the flamethrower.
That's a man that's been eating his Quaker Oats.
Why didn't the thing go to the party? Because he had no body to go with. That was gold.
Mm.
Jesus Christ.
Jump scare.
Dude, seriously, I would not be holding that Petri dish. Because if the chance that it does decide it wants to stand up and walk away.
Okay, white guy with dynamite does trump black guy with flamethrower. I can see you've played rock, paper, scissors, white guy with dynamite, black guy with flamethrower before.
That's not how defibrillators work.
TV shows in Hollywood have been getting...
Oh, God.
I told you it wasn't me!
Seriously?
I'm just gonna go into this creepy, dimly lit, unexplored corridor.
And leave the other guy alone.
After everything you've seen and experienced.
Okay, question. Is there a comedy version of the thing?
Yes, C-Lab 2021.
Let's rush him. He's not going to blow us all up.
He's holding a flamethrower. And dynamite. And a gun. The guy's loaded like Duke Nukem. Let's not risk it.
Think you got him?
No. Is this the ending? That was the ending.
Yes.
That was the ending.
That ending sucked.
And now, back to the episode.
All right. Well, hey guys, that was The Thing. It was that was interesting. But I think as far as final thoughts go, I think Dan's got the first one. Nigel, would you lead this off?
Yeah. I've never seen this film before. I've been told it's a classic. I've been told it's a landmark film of special effects and horror. And I think it lived up to the hype, at least in my opinion. I'm so used to modern horror films where they just kind of special effects with the monster and the high body count and people making stupid decision after stupid decision after stupid decision. And in this one, I think they made pretty smart decisions as far as like the way that they behaved in the movie. It's just the Thing was kind of more clever than them. So it managed to get the upper hand on a few things. But except for the whole, like, honestly, if you know it can mimic someone else, you should never, ever, everyone should have been paired off. No one should be allowed to be by themselves. That aside, I thought it was a really good movie. Set the atmosphere up really well. Set the tone from the beginning and just the creepiness. And I don't know. I just really enjoyed this film. I mean, it just was John Carpenter at his most John Carpenter, and it was really good. Just a really good movie. So yeah, it lived up to the hype for me. I've got some other thoughts, but I'll play off them as we get into the discussion between the three of us. So Josh, what are your final thoughts on this film?
Well, I want to preface this a little bit to our audience. And I'm just going to go ahead and, expose myself to them. Not in the bad way. Not the part that's going to get me sent to prison. But when I finished the film, like you could even ask Tom and Dan, I was just like, what the fuck was that ending? Because in my head, I hadn't realized that the Wilford Brimley story arc had been closed. I thought that when he introduced himself just, 2 minutes ago, I took him for somebody else. Didn't even click that in together. So when the movie ended, I'm like, well, what the fuck happened to Wilford Brimley? Like, I thought that ending sucked. I had to have Tom and Dan explain this to me. So I feel about an inch tall right now. But But I will admit, after, they were gracious enough to make me feel like I was stupid, I think the ending was good. This was my first time seeing it too. But I would have to say that I definitely think this would be kind of like movies like Fight Club. This would be a lot better on subsequent viewings. And I think, Tom, I'm wondering if you could attest to that or not. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was very gripping. I even made a comment early on that he seems to hold on a lot of scenes, like for just a few extra seconds. Like the helicopter's flying into the Norwegian base, and he takes the time to see it flying off from the horizon and land, and then them start to get out. You would never see that today. And it's not too long. He holds on some scenes just a little bit longer than they would hold on them today. So I'd have to say that helps do a great job of building up the tension. This movie definitely is one that's got a lot of space between scenes. You could easily edit it down, in my opinion, like cut a lot of those scenes off, but I think it wouldn't do as good to develop the environment, if that makes sense. Because I think that a lot of those scenes kind of gives you that feeling of vast voidness, you know? Especially the opening scene when you see that canyon and then the helicopter goes from a speck to like basically filling up the screen, and then the camera pans over to reveal the vast white plane as they're chasing down the wolf. I felt that was really good because it's like, hey, you are in nowhere. Like literally nowhere here. There is snow and rock. You are in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Once it turned night and got dark, he stopped really hanging on the scenes, I noticed. But beforehand, it's like he did a really good job of building up the environment that was we were in. So we knew everything that was around us. We didn't feel confined. We didn't feel claustrophobic about it. Because we knew, this is the base, but we know what's around the base. And I thought he did a good job of that. And it felt cold. It felt really cold too, but yeah, he did a good job of, I don't want to say world building because that's not the worst, but like
setting up the environment, maybe?
Yeah, environment building or whatnot. He did a really good job of that. And it's like the environment was almost a character in this film, The same way the Enterprise is a character in Star Trek.
Yeah, the way they do treat the ship as its own character.
Maybe not to that extent, but I feel like they did that to a point. And I think that it was really interesting on how he held those shots for an extended time to really give us that sense of being in the middle of nowhere.
Desolate and isolated.
Yes, thank you. Desolate. That's the perfect word.
Yeah, good.
But,
really good.
But I like Dan. I'll get more on that in a little bit. Tom, how about you? This is your third time or something seeing it, right?
Third or fourth time, yes. And I love each and every time I see it. I'm glad that you guys are loving it too. And I'm glad I went back and watched the original 1950s version, because now I have a certain perspective and even kind of more appreciation for this film and just how it was able to make it its own thing, rather than just a beat for beat, note for note carbon copy.
I see what you did there.
Thank you very much. Of the original, which it could have easily have done, and it just would not have been as unique. Because I'm going to be honest, the 1950s one, aside from a few moments here and there, was just your kind of generic 1950s sort of thing. It played like a episode of Doctor Who, Monster of the Week defeated by science. This one, it took the right elements from the film and made it even better. This one definitely didn't really care about the personality of the characters, for sure. It's 5 minutes in, it's here are a whole bunch of guys. What are they really like? We don't know. We don't care. Let's just get into it. As opposed to the original, where it took its time, it introduced everyone, it gave them... It's almost like the opposite. Josh, you were talking about how this film, Carpenter built the atmosphere, took its time to build the environment, get you understanding what the real theme of this film is, isolation and desperation. Whereas the other one was this is a story about characters who are going to overcome something. So you got to know them personally. They're, this guy's he's cocky, he's arrogant, he's been in the war. This is a reporter. He's kind of smart ass, but when it comes down to it, he doesn't shake. This, that, and the other. I'm not going to say one was better than the other, as in this version should have done that. But really, once this movie got going, knew the ones you wanted to care about. It made you care about them, and it just grabbed you. The monster was terrifying, unique. The scientists here were scientists. Well, air quotes scientists. I don't know how closely the scientists on actual Antarctic base would compare to McCready and them. I really want to look into how well armed Antarctic bases really are.
Not really. Well, I'll tell you in a minute, but that was actually part of my trivia, was how armored that particular Antarctic base was. But also remember, though, Tom, just before you can continue, they weren't all scientists. Like McCready was a pilot, so they weren't all scientists. But go on.
Oh, no, I like that distinction too, because in the original there were scientists and there were military. Military were smart. Scientists were dumb. This one, they did away with the military guys. They're, whether or not they're scientists, as you say, everyone's smart. With the exception of the end, no one was really holding an idiot ball. And that also helped, whereas in the original, almost all the scientists were holding the idiot ball except for one or two. Everyone else, unless they were military, they were dumb as fuck. The only nitpick I have is, near the end, one or two people started holding idiot balls, which kind of took away from the rest of the story. I'm going to add and subtract as we discuss, but my perspective is I look at this film and I see more and more, and that's another difference. One last thing, compare and contrast to the original. The original one was kind of generic, even by its standards. There's a monster, we need to figure out how to stop it. This one has rewatchability to it. You pick it apart, you look at it, you rewatch, if only to find out what were the clues that this person was the thing. Who was the thing at the end? Was Childs really the thing? Was McCready the thing? And that really helps it out. So let's converse about this, I guess.
Can we all at least agree that the Among Us movie is better than the game?
Yeah. That's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of disappointed in us for no one made that joke during Enter the Watch. No one made an Among Us joke.
Yeah, although I think it's safe to say that Among Us is definitely inspired by this movie.
Oh,
so,
yeah, guaranteed. I think there's some animations that come directly from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that none of us said, oh man, he's totally sus.
Yeah.
I am now disappointed in myself. I guess you could say that was a credit to the movie that we were that entertained by it. I mean, we made our quips, but we were all watching this movie. I mean, I know Tom got off on a rant and I had to shush him a couple times.
Well, that's my fault too. I've seen this like 2 or 3 times, so I was more familiar with this. And now that I think about it too, everyone was suspicious throughout the whole film. So not having that whole character, like get to know the characters, I think added to that. It's like any one of them could be acting in a character or out of character. You don't know.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm curious to go on a second rewatch after you made your comment. It's like the people who are acting crazy, are they the are they the ones who are not suspicious? Are they not sus? But so it's like on a subsequent rewatch, it's like pay attention to the people who you know are the monster or the thing. You know, it's like you're watching them compared to the other characters, the human characters. Like, how different are they going to be? You know.
Or pick out like when you think one of these people was turned. Like, how long were they human until they stopped being human?
Yeah, that's just the atmosphere of this movie was just that good, because like we were all sucked into it. Even Tom, who's seen this movie, 2 or 3, 4 times now, like we weren't making a whole lot of jokes during the watch because we were really invested in it. It wasn't like when we watched 21 Bridges, where like we were tuning out of the story about halfway through and we are just making jokes like crazy. Mostly because 21 Bridges, Josh, you were right. We figured out the plot like within, I would say after the first shootout. I am like, okay, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you know the cops are involved.
Yeah, I know the twist here. And I know the story. This is a movie that I had never seen until tonight, but I could tell you the beats. Like I knew the autopsy scene, like I knew the guy got his hands or his arms bitten off in the autopsy scene when he tried to use the defibrillator, because I've seen that scene on YouTube 1,000 times, and like top 10 best horror movie scenes of all time and all that. So it's like,
yeah. I've seen that too, and that got me tonight.
Yeah, I've seen that scene a bunch of times, and I still, when his hands got bit off, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And because we are so, and spoiled is not the right term, ruined by modern horror films with the over reliance on jump scares, especially bad horror films. Bad horror films just jump scare after jump scare after jump scare, and they telegraph them so much. Whereas this one, that one jump scare got me to jump right out of my skin because I didn't see it coming. Like,
Tom, I hope you include that in the playing section.
I will. Oh, yes.
oh yeah, I mean, I was like watching it. I was like dead silent, and that he turned that corner or walked around that table, and whatever it was, walked in front of the door. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ! Like, jumped right out of my skin on that one. So, but I didn't see it coming though. So that's a good jump scare. Like, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them were. I mean, even the blood scene when they was testing the blood, it's like I knew that one of these was going to pop positive because same thing. It's like I've never seen the movie, but I know the beats. It's like I knew one of these is going to pop positive, and one of the guys is going to change in his chair. I don't know who or what, but like when he put the fire stick thing in the blood and the blood jumped out, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Like, I've seen that scene on YouTube before. Again, best horror scenes of all time and all that. Like, this movie comes up on a lot of best horror films for, plot, atmosphere, acting, special effects. Like, it ticks a lot of lists. And that scene with the blood test, Josh, I'm with you. Like, I knew that one of them petri dishes was going to pop out of his hand, and Windows is going to get his head bitten off by someone's chest or something. Like, audience, it makes sense in context, but it's like I knew that scene was coming, and I still fucking like, oh my god. So good. That's a good movie. That means you did your homework, John Carpenter. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still don't get people's gripes from back in the day, the score for this film. I thought it was just right. It needed to be atmospheric and tense without being distracting. It's unique. You can hear it. You pick it out from the movie, but it's not in your... like I said, it doesn't distract. So...
I'll let me play devil's advocate for a second. Or maybe I could give a little bit of point of perspective. I'm not saying that I'm the definitive source on this, but
he is.
I act like it. But maybe what's happened here is like we look at this, 40 years later, and we see its value. But when it was brand new, it was brand new. So John Carpenter, was redefining horror. So people weren't ready for it, and people hate change. So the music was more atmospheric, and it meshed well with the plot and the environment and the atmosphere of the movie. Prior to this, it may not have, or they had certain beats that they were supposed to, air quotes, the beats that the movie was supposed to follow.
Sure.
This one didn't. So they might have heard the music and seen all the plot and everything like that and be like, wait, no, this isn't right. This sucks. Same way people hated on Empire Strikes Back when it came out because it was different. It had a down ending. The heroes lost. So people hated it because it wasn't your hero's journey. Why didn't Luke Skywalker win the last battle type thing?
Sure.
Yeah. Also, it's a much slower film than the original Star Wars. Like, it doesn't have as many action scenes and stuff like that.
So people's gripes maybe because this isn't what I was expecting. I don't like it because it didn't fill my checklist.
What's interesting is John Carpenter gave birth to the slasher film. Like, Halloween is the first, slasher movie where, lone serial killer goes around a college campus, a campground, a neighborhood, whatever, and wantonly kills teenagers left and right. Although the original Halloween, the body count is remarkably slow compared to what other movies would later do, but he gave birth to the slasher genre. And then, like, there were some copycats. I think the first Friday the 13th had come out by the time this movie came out. So I think people had different expectations of horror films. Like, they were expecting the serial killer going around killing all the horny teenagers. And in this one, it's not a serial killer going around killing horny teenagers. Now, I know that the first Friday the 13th is a little bit different than the sequels, and I don't think Nightmare on Elm Street had come out yet. But it's still, I think people had different expectations of what horror films should have been back then, and this movie just didn't see it. Also, when I was looking up trivia, one of the reasons why it failed is because at the time, most alien movies were about benevolent aliens coming to Earth, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., even the knockoffs like Mac and Me and stuff like that. Like, those movies were family films and about funny, whimsical aliens that are cute but also mischievous. And then the Thing comes out and it's killing people in Antarctica.
This movie did come out after Alien, but before Aliens.
Yeah.
Because Alien came out in 77, 76. So yeah.
And Alien was another film that was greatly inspired by The Thing from Another World, including the whole like Geiger counters. Like, it's close, the thing's beeping.
Yeah. Tom's right. I don't know. I guess people just had different expectations in 1982, but
yeah, and I'd have to agree. Overall, this was a really good movie. I definitely want to watch it again. I definitely want to watch the prequel now too.
Yeah, same here, because the prequel's supposed to be all the events that happen in the
it's the one that came out in 2011. Apparently, like I was just reading some trivia on that one, not to steal your thunder, Dan, but they like used Kurt Russell's height because he was between 5'10" and 5'11". Because there's no blueprints or any scenes from the Norwegian base, so they used his height as a reference of the base setup in the this film.
No fooling.
Make the sets on the second one, yeah.
That's actually kind of cool.
And then they like use they had like took thousands of screenshots from the movie to rebuild the base for the prequel to make it as perfect as it was. So it's like you could be able to watch that one and then follow it with this one.
I hear that the set designs and stuff are okay, and I guess the acting's all right in the sequel, prequel, whatever it is. Well, I guess the main gripe is the fact that this movie used practical effects and puppets and other stuff, and the sequel relied a lot on CGI. And that a lot of the Carpenter purists were kind of like, you know.
Yeah, and I'm a purist there too. I also want to see the sequel now because I want to compare that sequel to this one and how it did it wrong, whereas this it right with A Thing from Another World.
Yeah.
What do you mean sequel? What do you mean?
Well, again, this one, like I said, it didn't want to be A Thing from Another World. It wanted to be its own monster, for lack of a better term. From the sounds of it, the sequel to the John Carpenter thing, or prequel, I should say, sounds like it was trying too hard to be the 1982 Carpenter thing without making its own identity, a copy of a copy, if you will.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know. I haven't seen the prequel, so I can't really judge it by those merits. It might not be as bad as a film as everyone makes it out to be.
And it could also be one of those things when it came out, it was terrible because it wasn't the thing.
Yeah.
So watching it 10 years later, we may see some merit to it, you know? I mean, you never know. We will have to give it a watch, see, and comment on another episode in the future.
Yes. Does anyone else feel that this movie went off the rails once they found the tunnel and that Brimley thing was making an alien spaceship?
To me, it didn't go off the rails. It did kind of feel like when they were setting the dynamite traps and a couple, they had to kill off a bunch of people at once to kind of like, oh, wait, hold on. We forgot to kill off these people. You know.
I agree with your input on that one, Nigel. What about you, Josh?
Maybe not off the rails, but the fact that it was building, because I don't want to say that the thing ever came off as a dumb monster, because obviously impersonating people and taking the things, it doesn't come off as a creature that would build a spaceship. But, you know, that could just be me going based off of what it looks like in the practical scenes.
Yeah, I kind of had the impression, I don't know, they don't really elaborate on the backstory. Maybe the prequel does, I don't know. I kind of had the impression that the thing wasn't the alien in the spaceship. It probably killed the aliens in the spaceship. It was like it was like a weapon or either a biological thing. Like the Alien prequel Prometheus kind of sort of touched on that theory a little bit. Like the thing wasn't. Of course, these aren't in the same universe, but that was my headcanon while I was watching the film, was that the thing wasn't the alien in the spaceship. The thing had killed the aliens in the spaceship. That's why it crashed. And it had tried to get out of the spaceship, and it froze to death, it froze into suspended animation in Antarctica. So that was my headcanon. I don't know. It just didn't seem like it would be something that would build its own spaceship. But the doctor did say in the movie that it mimics people perfectly. So maybe if it mimicked the aliens that were in the spaceship at one point in time, it would have the knowledge to know how to build the spaceship. I don't know. This movie didn't explain it. I don't know if the prequel does, but sometimes I don't need an answer to everything. So
yeah, this is one of those movies I think that you could like, because that's a good headcanon theory for this one too. Like this film is one of those ones I feel it has a lot of It leaves it just open-ended and vague enough to give you those opportunities to fill in the blanks. Kind of like how people constantly are finding excuses in Star Wars, back to that one again, to fill in like, this was his motivations in this scene. This is why he did this, and this is why he did this in this particular scene. It was never explicitly said. It was only inferred, but not directly. So everybody could have their own interpretation of any individual scene. Because that's honestly, Dan, that was something that I kind of think I had in the back of my head. Like, I didn't put it to words, but I think that it did a good job of that, because now we can build our own theories based off of that. And I think your theory was really good because it makes sense. But I don't, like Tom, I agree. I think it kind of went off the rails because I didn't see this alien as being capable of building a aircraft, spacecraft, whatever.
Yeah, no. And again, with the materials they had available too, I didn't think it made too much sense. But Nigel's headcanon it fits the logic of the movie. It's not out of nowhere implausible. It could be a thing it could have done. But
well,
yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, like it mimicked some of the guys on the camp or on the base, and it was building the spaceship, so it knew how to use tools, and it knew how to use, it knew what went where, it knew what, it had like the engines in the right place and the landing gears in the right place. So it's like it kind of knew that stuff. So I don't know if the alien works like when it absorbs something, it also gains that organism or that person's knowledge.
Yeah.
That's just my headcanon. Like I said, I don't know. The doc did say it mimics it perfectly, but does it really just mimic it or does it clone it? So
again, that's the beauty of this movie. We can have these discussions. We can examine it, and it could be it still fits the logic of this film. We can debate it, discuss it, but it's not this dumb out of nowhere thing.
Yeah. Why did he look through the eye hole? Because the plot said he was going to look through the eye hole.
Yeah, because the plot said he had to look through the eye hole.
Thank you. Even better, Josh. Yes. It's not 21 Bridges.
Yeah, that's not a movie we're going to be dissecting 10 years from now. That's a movie you watch, be like, okay, that was a movie.
Yeah, and also we've been discussing our final thoughts for this film for the last 20 minutes. We spent 10 minutes tops on 21 Bridges. Like, it was like, okay, yeah, this movie's not very good. So
yeah, that's a perfect thing too. It's like, I was even thinking earlier, it's like, agree with me or disagree with me on this one. This movie would make a really good destination film.
Oh, it absolutely would have made a great destination film. Yes.
Like, obviously, it's not going to be anytime in the next year or two. But if we ever have an opportunity to have a destination fall on like the Antarctic New Year where they're rewatching the show, that would be a perfect time to have this as a destination film.
Yeah. Normally, I stay away from that sort of thing if it's a movie we've already seen. But considering, one, anniversary, two, this is just that damn good, I'd make an exception.
Oh, yeah, I'm already planning sometime down the line in the future. Apollo 13 needs to be a destination film, and we've already seen it. Yeah.
This is, I was actually thinking that tonight, Josh, while we were watching the film, like about 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, this should have been a destination film. But I'm really glad watching this tonight. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I'm really glad we went with my list because this is a movie I really wanted to see, and I'm so glad I got to see it finally.
I fully agree with you on that one.
And if Mike ever restarts his Terror from the 80s and does this film again, we got to see it together because this film in like that classic 80s grain, that grainy style film, it's so much better. The special effects just extra creepy in that old 80s style.
Oh, I bet.
Oh my God. But I've hit every note I could hit now and then some.
Yeah, I feel like I could spend another 20 minutes talking about this film, but I'm probably going to start repeating myself. So
yeah, we definitely could have part 2 to this if we needed to, but
yes. So that's tonight's show. As a reminder, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, or wherever fine podcasts are sold. Our regular episodes are Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Please like and subscribe to us on whatever medium you choose. We really appreciate it as it really helps us out. Also, when you get a chance, spread the word about us. Leave a review. Give us a thumbs up or even like some critiques, input, anything to help people know about this podcast, spread the word about this podcast, or help us improve this podcast. Every little bit helps, and we really appreciate it.
And be sure to join our Discord channel as well. The link is in the episode description at discord.me/firepit. You'll get notifications of new episodes, and even better, you can engage in questions with other fans of the show and ourselves. We pop in a couple times a week and chat it up with the rest of everyone else. Give us suggestions for future episodes, critique past episodes, whatever. Just join the Discord, join the discussion, and join our adventure to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And if you want to send us a little bit longer, more wordy message, we always love reading those. You can email us at curtaincallentertainmentinc@gmail.com, just like that guy in the interspersal says. You can send us the super long or a short message, whatever. Doesn't matter. But if you want to send us a really short message at 160 characters or less, be sure to hit us up on Twitter at FirepitCCE. I promise Dan will get better at tweeting the tweets.
Work is slowing down. I should be okay.
He should be okay. Or like our Facebook page. We're present there too. We do the social medias. But both of those are linked in the episode's description if you need them for a later date.
And speaking of Facebook, I want to shout out one of our Facebook followers, Georgia. Georgia, thank you for joining us on Facebook, helping to spread the fires, if you will. Whether you listen to us regularly, just pop in on occasion, or just linger on the page to see whatever we post. Just thanks for helping to keep the fire pits burning. And also myself as an editor, I would like to shout out Audacity. Audacity is the tool I utilize to edit this podcast. It is freeware software. It has a myriad of tools that I utilize to make us all sound fantastic, cut out all the parts that don't quite sound so good, and where it really comes in handy for all the scripted skit segments, every tweak, bleep, and sweep, it's there when I need to put in a sound effect, improve a sound effect, or remove a sound effect. So Audacity, if you want to use it for your podcast, they don't pay me to say anything about it, but we're not paying anything to use it. So give it a try, see how it works for you.
You may exploit your inner editor and then hate yourself for all eternity.
Or you could be a masochist and be the editor.
That's why I said I'm not doing it when we started this podcast. But I would like to shout out my high school biology teacher, whom I will have to say that I would have to consider the thing as a creature. I don't remember the assignment, but I'm sorry I was such a dick in high school. And I have to say that the fact that I had a teacher who would have assigned this as homework had to have been an awesome teacher, and I did not take advantage of you back then. So shout out to you. Tim, if you remember his name, please let me know. But anywho, that's my shout out for him. He was an awesome biology teacher in hindsight.
I would like to shout out, obviously, Peggy, the OG friend of the channel. Thank you so much for your continued support and listening. Looking forward to hanging out with you here in a couple of weeks as you come down for my birthday. I'd also like to shout out and congratulate him on his upcoming nuptials and thank him for actually asking me to be the best man at his wedding. Rob, chairman, CEO, owner, operator of Rob's Custom PCs. Congratulations on your engagement. Long may your happiness continue. Thank you for listening to the show.
Oh, wow. Kudos.
Yeah, I was really happy to hear that. And I was absolutely flattered he asked me to be his best man. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, congratulations.
And like I said, yeah, we got to shout him out on that, because if Peggy's the OG friend of the channel, Rob is like the second OG friend of the channel. Like, he's been listening to it almost as long.
Our first sponsor, even.
Yeah, and our first sponsor, and just he's a friend. So shout out to him, and thanks to his support. I'd also like to shout out Sync Lounge. My God, do you make this podcast easy? As far as the three of us do not live next to each other. We do not do this in person. This started because of the pandemic. We couldn't hang out together, and Sync Lounge makes it so that all three of us can watch it at the same time without having to mess around with synchronized watches or timestamps, or we don't have to watch the movie separately and give our thoughts at different times. No, Sync Lounge makes it so that all three of us can watch it at once. And also a shout out to our recording software, Zencaster. You guys have been just the best, especially since we were first using Skype and it lost the greatest selection section episode ever. And we've never gone back to use it again. We only use it now for meetings. We don't use it for recordings. So shout out to Zencaster. I still remember that one night, I think it was Tom or Josh, somebody lost their internet for like 20 minutes and it still saved the recording. So that was awesome. So shout out to Zencaster. And that's all I have for tonight.
So excellent episode, guys. And from my end, I am so glad that I got to see this film with you and that you like the film so much. But now that
definitely better than The Natural, which was the second film on your last journey. Remember how we all liked that movie and then we had our descent into madness and we hated it?
Thankfully, that didn't happen with this one.
No,
yeah, definitely. But what, anybody want to take a wild, want to bet on what we're watching next week? I got some cash on it.
I don't. Could you hum a few bars? I mean, maybe make it a jaunty tune, something like a tango or something.
Oh, that's where you're going with this one. Okay. No.
I don't tango for cash. Credit only.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you tango for credit or favors?
Yes. What guy?
We're swinging to tango and cash in the next episode. But until then, I've been Tom.
I've been Josh.
And I've been Dan. Thank you for listening.
This has been a production of Curtain Call Entertainment, LLC.
Good luck out there. Boy, did I need that. Just feel that sun.
You know, it's amazing that after such a good night's sleep, finding the next clue was stupid easy.
Yeah. Also, it was interesting that really the internet was down at the Norwegian base.
Yeah, it was only a 4-hour fix, too. That's a whole bunch of scientists. They're probably all watching penguins having sex. Bunch of perverts.
All right, guys. Well, I guess next stop, Los Angeles.
Well, since I'm the only one rated to fly for this skit, I'm piloting the helicopter. Which one of you three wants to ride shotgun? Shotgun!
Well, he called it.
Ah, damn.
All right, Tom. Shotgun's yours.
All right. Well, I guess you guys got the front. Hey, Tom, would you hold this bag? I don't think there's enough room in the back seat.
Yeah, sure.
I think you can tuck it in between you and Tom right there.
Sure. Tom, is that all right? That should be fine.
Cool. All right. Well, Dan and I will get in the back seat. It's a little cramped, but whatever.
Tom, after you, let's get flying.
You got something caught in your throat?
What? No, nothing. I was just remembering a
Why
funny
are you
joke.
looking on, like over there? There's nothing over there. It's just snow and penguins having. Oh, never mind.
That's going in the spank bank.
Neat.